Welcome to the Smart Weight Loss Coaching Podcast. I'm Dr. Lisa Olson, a board-certified weight loss medicine specialist and certified life coach. In this podcast, I'll share fresh insights and effective techniques for incorporating mindset, habit change, and proven science into your life. Are you ready to achieve sustainable weight loss, wellness, and longevity? Then let's jump in and lose weight the smart way. Welcome back. Just a little heads up if anyone listening has ever been subjected to hate speech. Today's episode involves that topic, so I want to give you an opportunity to skip this episode if you need to, but please come back next week. If you're a long-time listener, I think you know I'm not going to leave you with an upsetting story swirling around in your head. I have a tender-related story for you too, so you can end the episode feeling hopeful, which is how I feel at the end of today. Here we go. I'm usually pretty unflappable, but I had a rough day today when I was verbally assaulted by a stranger in a parking lot. I'll try to tell you about it without resorting to words that would make this an age-restricted podcast. So first, before the story, let's talk about words that rhyme with the mean words that were hurled at me today. For example, ducking, like the action I take when someone throws a ball in my direction. Ducking will be used in place of a different word that rhymes with ducking. Here's another one. Have you ever had a bundt cake? Those rich, tasty cakes that are made in a cake pan shaped like a ring? Well, bundt, like bundt cake, rhymes with another pretty shocking name I was called today also. One last word you'll need to decipher my story. Remember the old slang term for a cigarette? Rhymes with baggot? Yeah, that one. That's the last terrible word that I'm going to reference discreetly today using rhymes. Eventually, we'll talk about how the nasty words I'm going to rhyme about relate to weight and to health. Here's what happened. At 10:30 this morning, a friend of mine reached out to ask if I was going to a small local pride parade in a suburb about half an hour away from us. I've been to this parade before, and I have to tell you, I love it. The people who march in solidarity with the LGBTQ plus folks are local churches and synagogues, all the people running for political office, marching bands, cheerleading groups, dance troupes, healthcare organizations, summer camps, Miss Illinois 2025, and a whole slew of businesses. Shout out to you, Discover Card, Wintrust Bank, and Jewel Osco Grocery Store. The people in the audience of the parade are largely families, including grandparents, aunts, uncles, tons of kids, groups of friends, and plenty of pets wearing rainbow bandanas in allyship with the humans. It's the most wholesome, supportive celebration of love is love that you can imagine. I didn't realize this weekend was the parade, but when my friend called to ask if I was going, I felt strongly that I wanted to jump into some colorful rainbowy clothes, grab the pride flags out of my attic, pop in my humongous rainbow earrings, and hit the road to join her. It's a lovely, cool, sunny day, and I was excited for some fun as an ally of all the people under the rainbow. By the time I arrived, the parade was already in progress, and I had to park in a parking lot pretty far from the parade route. I hopped out of the car, put on my colorful headband, feathers and all, and started walking briskly in the direction of the parade through the quiet parking lot. There was no one else around, or so I thought. About 5 cars down, an imposing, tall, muscular older man came out from between some cars, walked in my direction, and asked me if I was going to the Baggot Parade. I said, yes, I am, because I thought I must not have heard him correctly. I mean, who would say such a terrible thing to someone? But when he started to scream at me that I was a ducking bundt cake who should die or be killed, I quickly realized that he was not a nice man, and I hurried along without yelling any expletives back at him. I'm not a very confrontational person. But then he followed me, calling me a heathen, ducking bunt cake about 15 times and threatening me with death, and told me that God hates me, to which I finally replied in a calm, measured voice, I'm pretty sure God loves everyone. He then told me to read the ducking Bible, and I told him that I've read the part about love your neighbor. And I think that's an important section that's worth rereading. I realize as I'm saying this that I was completely nuts to engage with him, but he was following me and screaming these horrible words at me, and I'm just telling you what I did in the moment when I was caught off guard in this unexpected situation. Maybe not the smartest thing, but it's the reality of what happened. He yelled a few more threats, ducking bunt cake and homophobic God wants me to die comments, and I replied that I'd pray for him to find a way to be kind and not so mean. Around that time, he stopped following me, and I saw my friend way up ahead, thankfully, walking in my direction. So I hustled to meet her, and we quickly hightailed it to the parade. I was scared by that guy coming at me and being so verbally aggressive, and I probably should have found a police officer in retrospect just to make sure he didn't do that or worse to anyone else. But I just felt such a flood of relief and loving kindness when I approached the parade route and got away from him that I immediately buried it in the back of my mind. You're probably wondering, and rightfully so, what this has to do with weight loss and health. I'm almost there. I just wanted to mention that the parade was so uplifting. So many women had t-shirts on that said, "Free Mom Hugs." And so many religious groups had signs and shirts saying that everyone was loved and welcomed. The entire parade and all the families watching it made me so happy, especially during this time when our country feels unnecessarily divided. The abundance of kindness, allyship, and encouragement created a sense of hope for me. I know that most people care about treating others the way they want to be treated, and most people know that we're all entitled to be who we are and to love who we love, or at least people know that it's not really their business if they feel otherwise. So how does hate speech relate to weight and health? The answer involves the hormone changes that happen when we're under stress, and I'm going to tell you all about them and about an uplifting event that happened to me later in the same day after a quick word from our sponsor. Ha, just kidding. It's still me, Dr. Lisa Olson, founder of Smart Weight Loss Coaching. If you're as focused on your health as you are on the scale, you're my person. In my online program, we'll help you establish healthy habits for weight loss, better health, and longevity. For those of you who have looked at our website before, you'll be excited to see that you no longer have to commit to a 3-month program to join us. If you'd like to learn more about our affordable monthly membership, head over to smartweightlosscoaching.com. We're back. The rest of this episode will have a little science and a little positivity, so thanks for hanging in there with me for the rough parts. During the parking lot incident, my cortisol and epinephrine levels were through the roof. Cortisol is a stress hormone, and adrenaline or epinephrine is our fight or flight hormone. Not that I stopped for a blood test, but I'm sure that those hormones were flooding my bloodstream. And although immediately after the event, I calmed down by turning my attention to the parade, on my drive home later, I was a little upset. So what did I do when I got home? Well, guess what? My husband and our kids had been baking lemon bars while I was gone, and I ate some. I ate a lot of them. And here's what I want you to know. Sometimes a lemon bar binge is going to happen when someone calls you a ducking bunt cake, and I don't think anyone needs to feel bad about that. I don't feel bad about that. I mean, they were pretty amazing lemon bars, and I don't think I've had any since last year's episode about lemon bars. So I binged on lemon bars today, and I forgave myself. And I'm going to have tuna steaks on the grill with salad and roasted potatoes wash down with water later tonight with my family. I'm moving on in a healthy way, not punishing myself, not beating myself up. I had a ducking rough incident, and my brain dug deep to find the thing guaranteed to make me feel immediately soothed. And it worked. Nearly all of us learn from a young age to self-soothe with food, especially treats. One thing I'll say about it is that I've gotten better about managing big emotions without food or a glass of wine over the years. So yay for me. I rarely get bingy anymore. But I did it today, and I'm absolutely not feeling bad about it, nor will I trash talk myself for it. And I invite you to extend the same kindness to yourself when you have a day with a lot of cortisol or adrenaline coursing through your body. These hormones might push hunger away in the immediate peak of a crisis, but in the long term, cortisol makes us look for quick sources of energy, like sugar. It increases our ghrelin, the hunger hormone, and increases cravings for hyper-palatable food. Cortisol also decreases our dopamine levels. And remember that dopamine is kind of a happy hormone related to desire and to pleasure. Dopamine feels good, and the stress hormone cortisol interferes with dopamine. Cortisol increases our visceral fat storage, depositing more fat around our internal organs and in our bellies, which causes inflammation. This is one reason why chronic stress is implicated in weight gain and in health outcomes caused by inflammation, like heart attacks and certain types of cancer. There is a role for good stress in our lives, like challenging ourselves to run a 5K for the first time or apply for a job that's a little bit of a stretch. Some stress helps us to thrive, but the kind of negative stress brought on by a ducking mean guy in a parking lot, nobody needs that. Now, before I invite you to select your NBA, your next best action for today, I'm going to briefly tell you something that happened later today after I got home from the parade and after the Lemon Square incident. Just so you can picture the scene, I was still wearing my fuchsia linen pants, my colorful sandals, rainbows on a white blouse, giant rainbow earrings, tons of cheap, colorful necklaces in rainbow colors, and I had a big fascinator on my head. My fascinator is like a headband with a gigantic pile of colorful feathers and glittery ribbons sprouting from the top of my head. I really did look like a human walking pride display. So when I laid off the lemon squares and went out to the front yard in that outfit to pick up my newspaper that had been sitting on the grass all day, I saw an elderly man with his elderly dog walking in my direction. I've not noticed him walking in the neighborhood before, but as soon as he saw me all decked out in my colorful regalia, he tried to engage me in conversation. I'm usually all in for that, but I was a little hesitant after the parking lot incident. So when he said it looked like I was heading to a very fun party, my answer was a little vague. I just came back from a parade for families and kids. It was great, I told him. He told me he's noticed my Ally and Pride yard decorations in the summer, and he really likes them, which was a bit unexpected, but very sweet. So I told him about the Pride Parade. And I don't know what happened, but suddenly I found myself telling this man about the mean man in the parking lot. And I started to cry, which is something I rarely do. I mean, I do cry from happiness or from poignant things all the time, but not from being upset. And really not in front of a stranger. That's just not my thing. He and his dog just let me tell the story through my tears, and then he said a few kind words. And as he was slowly walking away, he turned back and said that his partner liked our decorations too. And he wished me a happy Pride Month. I'm getting choked up again as I'm saying this because it just moved me so much. I love that old man and his dog. I could talk a lot more about this today, but I think it's time to pull myself together, wind down, and invite you to consider your NBA, your next best action for today. Here are a few ideas. You might try something to lower your baseline cortisol or stress hormone levels, since you know that elevated cortisol drives cravings, hunger, and weight gain. Maybe you want to meditate, keep a gratitude journal, or do some yoga. Or maybe you want to connect with friends who support you and fill your bucket. Maybe you want to forgive yourself when you have an unusually emotional day and you eat lemon squares until you're ready to throw up. That's what No Sweat Reset is for. Maybe you want to write No Sweat Reset on a Post-it note and stick it to your bathroom mirror. One last idea. Maybe you want to be an ally to the LGBTQ community, or you want to do something kind for someone, anyone. Supporting others invariably helps us to feel better too. Happy Pride Month, friends. Thanks so much for listening. If you'd like more support during your smart weight loss journey, check out our group coaching program at smartweightlosscoaching.com. Until next time, stay well and stay smart.